This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.
Do you like sci-fi, fantasy, action, adventure, and comic books? Then you've come to the right place for your weekly dose of anything and everything geek. So strap in and let's get this show on the road. Welcome to the Science Fictionary Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Science Fictionary Podcast. We're finally going to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes.
I'm sorry it took me a week to watch it.
It's
understandable. Now we know that Daniel's been chomping at the bits to talk about this.
He was texting us on Friday. Hey, who's watched Justice League? It's like it's only been out for 4 hours.
That was the only one. Yeah, but I bet you watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier immediately, right?
Justice League is like 10 times as long as Falcon and the Winter Soldier too. 40 minutes, 4 hours.
Yeah, it's long. That's probably
it is long
for me. One of the most notable things about it is it's very long.
It is,
but I think it helps it.
It does.
But what was he supposed to do? He's never going to get a chance to show any of this footage anywhere else.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Here's the thing about, and I want to go ahead and say this. I'm still I like the movie. This makes it better, without question. I do think that there's some stuff going on where people are like, his original vision. It's not.
No.
It's not. They were not going to let him make a 4-hour movie.
It's still compromised. Right.
It was going to be, he was still going to have to cut it down to probably 2.5 hours.
Well, he was, but it still would have had this tone at least. That's one of the biggest complaints about the theatrical version is it was so uneven because there's still some of Zach's footage in there, and then you had Josh Whedon's quippiness. Yeah, and it just, the tone of it is so uneven.
Although I will say, unless I'm totally off on the timeline in which things happened, he removed a couple of his own jokes as well. Kind of quippy things that he had in the original teaser trailer before Joss was involved. Those jokes were also removed.
Right, but who's to say he wouldn't have done that in the final cut if he'd seen the theatrical all the way to the end either? I mean,
that's true.
I think it's probably...
But I do think that this whole rally cry that this was his original vision is a little disingenuous.
I mean, maybe his dream.
And I'm not saying that that's where y'all are coming from, but I've seen a lot of people that are really hung up on that. And
I think Marisha's right, though. This is his dream.
It's probably closer, but you were still going to be an hour and a half shorter. Now,
he's already talked about and admitted that even for this, there were still things DC didn't really want him to do. And some of it he kind of ignored. One of them he gave him was Martian Manhunter. This is going to be spoilery, whatever. Martian Manhunter at the end is supposed to be Green Lantern. That was John Stewart, Green Lantern.
Okay.
And they wouldn't let him do it. And to me, I don't understand why. You're already taking the theatrical version as the canon. You're not considering this canon anyway. Why do you care if he throws John Stewart in at the end? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. But they still just can't leave well enough alone.
I mean, at this point, and we'll get into some of that, kind of some of the way that DC or Warner is now acting about this movie and their intentions going forward. And with some of the things that they're doing and saying, I don't know why you didn't just let him do his thing.
Correct.
Completely.
You may let him make a 4-hour movie. At this point, just let him do it. I mean, they let him do...
At this point...
Right, and it's not going to count anyway.
Let him do Superman a mullet.
Yeah, heck yeah.
See,
he wanted to give
David's joking.
A mullet. They wouldn't let him.
Right. Look, here's the thing. And I already said once about the black suit. As a kid who got into comics because of the Death of Superman and Reign of the Supermen and Return of Superman storylines from the early 90s,
right?
Y'all have got no idea how big a geek out it is to see the black suit. And
cool.
And the mullet, as campy as the mullet is, but again, it was the early 90s. I mean, everybody had a mullet. But in the comic books, even as a comic book fan, we're all sitting there going, just get rid of the mullet. The mullet's stupid. If they had put the damn mullet in the movie, I'd have probably been okay with it. Like
that would have been dope. Because why not?
I was so geeked up when he put on that black suit.
Yeah.
But again, great. Yes, and that particular issue where he came out in the black suit is special to me. Like that's the nostalgia moment they hit that actually worked for me, because that's the run of comic books that turned me into this. So, that worked for me definitely. There's a lot of things. I know I feel like I'm bogarting the conversation, y'all.
No, I mean honestly, I'm far more interested in seeing what you two have to say about this than right. I do.
And look, there's some things about it I don't like. Okay, it is a better movie than the theatrical cut we got. Some things I don't like. Martian Manhunter. I like Martian Manhunter, and there was already some speculation. Hey, Harry Lennox would be a really good Martian Manhunter. So there was already some speculation that that's where they were going to go with that with his character anyway. And in this movie, it's revealed that that's who he is, which is cool. But where they put it in the movie and the way they did it, I don't like.
I'll be honest.
That moment carries a lot more weight if that really is Martha Kent talking to Lois Lane. Like that totally killed that for me. That did not fit. That felt like it was just shoehorned in there. Mm-hmm. And then when you find out at the end that the Green Lantern cameo got replaced with Martian Manhunter anyway, then it just feels needless. You were still going to get John Johns in the movie anyway. John Jones, as we would pronounce it, whatever, John Jones. You were going to get him in there anyway. You didn't need the change there of, the Martha and Lois conversation was really Martian Manhunter. You didn't need that. I didn't like it. I didn't like where they put it in the movie. It hurt that moment. Mm-hmm. Love that character. I'm glad that there were plans for him to be part of the universe eventually. I think it'd have been cool, but that didn't work for me. There are things about this movie that do not work for me. I do not like the way Flash runs.
I agree. It looks so good. Now,
what the hell is this?
I read this. Ezra Miller studied that, like, there are like these monks in real life who run like that to like cover fast distances, and I get that, but it looks goofy as hell.
It does.
Like,
it is. So,
the TV
I guess the idea was that. I guess the idea was that he would, Flash would just move so fluid, and it would be different because he's warping time and space. And like, I didn't know about the monk thing till David just said it, but it's dumb.
Mm-hmm. It looks dumb. Just let him run. Like, that's fine.
I mean, we look at the stuff the CW does, and that stuff looks so much better.
Yeah.
That being said,
and honest to God, the best of Speed, I'll still say the best of Speedster has been handled on screen, on the big screen, is still Quicksilver in the X-Men films.
Absolutely. 100%.
By far.
Yeah, there's no doubt. No, I mean, this works, except for I don't like the way Ezra Miller runs in the character.
Looks funny. And I'm not big on the kind of dialogue while he's running. To me is kind of odd. It's just, I guess it's kind of like the rest of the movie. It's just kind of artsy. But the dialogue with it, Flash, whether it's him speaking or an internal dialogue, whatever it's supposed to be, it's a little weird.
Are you talking about the end of the movie? Because he's got a couple of speed moments.
He does it also when he's gonna hit the cube.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. Well, it doesn't make me hate the movie. It's just weird. There's a few things they chose to do with Flash that I still think it's an odd portrayal of the Flash.
Now I will say this: I do like some of our here. So, Joss Whedon, Zack Snyder. If you take those two directors together, who would you expect to get the best character moments and best character development out of?
Joss Whedon. But Joss Whedon
did that happen here?
But Joss Whedon didn't make the movie from go.
He did not. But that's one of the things that impresses me, though.
has better character moments than this movie. Joss Whedon made that.
We're not talking about Avengers.
We're not. But
one of the things that impresses me are the character moments we get out of this cut. that are not.
Yeah.
It does. This movie
true.
adds depth to this story that
Which
is
it
not
badly
there in the
needed.
theatrical cut. It needed terribly.
Yeah.
And this does it. It is long. There's a lot of stuff, and we've all, I think, agreed we should have got some more solo movies before they tried to team these characters up. The Cyborg stuff and the Flash stuff belong in solo films for those characters.
Speaking of things I did not like, Cyborg, when we're going through this whole, like, who he is and all the things he can do, and we get the bear and the bull, like, throwing down like it's WCW. That was
right.
stupid looking.
That's supposed to be a representation of how he can manipulate the stock markets.
I know.
But it was stupid. It was stupid. And even the line didn't need to be there. Who cares if it can manipulate stock markets? I mean, you're getting the point without that even being there. And that visualization, I agree with you, Andrew. That was stupid looking. The rest of that scene, I liked the way it all kind of plays out. But seeing the bear and the bull battle was, that was kind of
It was a bit much.
Yeah.
That's this whole movie, isn't it, though?
It's true. I mean, you could definitely say that about this movie in a lot of ways. That in some ways, it's just a bit much. And it's fine. It's a spectacle, and that's what it was meant to be.
That's a great word for it.
Well,
this is let me be clear. I've made it clear before. I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder's interpretation of these characters, but I'm not going to spend this whole podcast talking about that. Because if I just take this movie for what it is, I think it is a great spectacle. It is like a 4-hour long 300, and the sense of it's just 4 hours of cool looking stuff thrown at. And Zack Snyder is a wonderful visual director. He makes some of the coolest looking things I've ever seen. I've always praised him on that. And there's a lot of points in this movie. I mean, y'all agree. Remember the Age of Heroes fight scene, the big battle, the Age of Heroes. It's like the Themyscarians and the Greenland. Yeah. That's just 300. That's just 300.
Badass.
Right?
That's a badass.
But it was awesome. But it was awesome. I loved all the stuff that was added. Mostly. I understand why it was cut, and Joss Whedon is getting a lot of crap right now. Like, how could you cut that? How dare you? He cut it because he didn't have 4 hours.
Right. We actually had this conversation back when Justice League first came out on the other show, on the Star Wars show, of all places. Really? But when we had that conversation, if you had a guy like Zack Snyder who made most of a movie and then walked away, had to leave. And that's the thing, is like, he did leave. Like, he wasn't forced away or anything like that. He left for a very good reason, but he did walk away.
Yeah. But it's completely understandable.
Joss Whedon is not the guy that I bring in to finish a Zack Snyder movie. That's crazy.
And we have all enjoyed Joss Whedon's work.
Joss Whedon, The Avengers is fantastic. Firefly is one of the best things ever put on television.
Buffy's still one of my favorite shows.
Buffy's a great show. Because Joss Whedon develops characters as well as anybody out there. But like, he's not the guy that I bring in to finish a Zack Snyder movie. That just doesn't make sense.
That's right. That's how you end up with the uneven tone we're talking about.
Yeah. He made what Warner Brothers was thinking was, he made Avengers, and Avengers is like basically Justice League. So let's just.
It also, though, at this point, it feels like, okay, Zach's got to walk away. We're going to let Joss finish it. And it's like they called Joss into a room and went, hey, make this shorter and funnier. And it's like that's all the direction he got.
Yeah.
So we get these, quips, these Joss Whedon quips that don't really work with the movie. They're funny by themselves, taking it visually.
I call them Whedonisms.
Yeah.
Dude, the whole end sequence of this movie with the Russian family they had to save just so they can get the joke of Flash saving 2 people while Superman saves a whole building. That's all that was about. They added that whole subplot to get that one visual joke at the end. And really, in screen time of watching that family, it's probably 20 minutes worth of footage. And it's just... So now seeing this one makes that movie even more frustrating, because you honest to God sit here and go, how did they have, and I understand you're not going to put a 4-hour versus movie in theaters. I get that. But how do you have this footage and come up with the movie you gave us?
Yeah, no, it's all.
And I'm
over
one of the
place.
people. Oh, by the way, me and David argued because when this movie came out, it was obviously it's panned by the critics. Everybody hated it. But David, what I tell you, go see it. It's worth seeing. It's not as bad as everybody says. So it's not like I just trash on the theatrical cut.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see this, it's just it's night and day.
You know, here's the thing, though. Joss Whedon is a superstar director with a superstar director's ego. He's not going to go in and put the finishing touches on somebody else's movie. He's going to go in and he's going to try and make it his movie now.
That's the
He's
problem.
not a fix-it
And that
man.
might have been the problem, and like Daniel said, it might have also been that Warner Brothers, somewhere midstream, when Zack Snyder walked away, Warner Brothers went, "Here's our chance to have our own version of the Avengers."
That's exactly that. They went, "Here's our chance to step as far away from Zack as we can."
Yep.
And we know why Zack walked away. We're not talking about that, but just I mean, after Dawn of Justice, do you not think DC was getting a little scared of letting Zack keep making the kind of movies he wanted to make?
Yep.
Because Dawn of Justice has got a lot of problems.
Yep.
This movie is much better than Dawn of Justice we got, and it's much better than the theatrical release of Justice League we got.
I think that
But they were scared of Zack at that point.
Yeah.
This might be my favorite thing that Zack Snyder's made in the DCEU because, okay, so I'm not a fan of.
Still like Man of Steel.
I like Man of Steel for the most part. I'm not a super huge fan of his interpretation of these characters, but he's always had a very straight through line tone and vision for what this world is gonna be. The first thing I noticed with this Snyder cut was he brought a real level of gravitas to it. And now we were making fun of him back when the trailer released and there was Hallelujah and we got the poster with Joker as Jesus and he's like, look at how epic this is. But in all seriousness, whenever you watch the movie, when you have 4 hours to fit in cool stuff, you can have long sprawn out shots of these epic battlefields and stuff like that to make this feel important, to make it feel cool, to make it feel like the Justice League actually does have to come together for this. It made me actually care about what was going to happen, which I could not give a crap about it when I was watching Justice League.
Yeah.
And I do have some nitpicky problems. For one, in my opinion, way too much music. Like, he just did it because he could. And that's the thing with this movie, and I'm happy he was able to do that. But this movie really is like, well, I can, so I'm going to do it, man. And like, that's great. But like, oh my gosh, that scene with Aquaman walking into the water and it's like playing.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
And he throws the whiskey bottle in the water. No, that's like not good for the ocean, man. That bothered me. That happened in the theatrical cut too, though. I don't remember. I need
That's
to rewatch
basically him walking in the whole sequence where he takes the whiskey bottle and walks the water is the same except for the music.
Right.
Which is another thing that I do have issue with that. I don't like any of the licensed music.
No, the
the
soundtrack is abysmal.
I mean,
it is. Why not? You already had, but with the score, you already had a theme for Flash. Why not use that when he's saving Iris? You've already got the scene David and I are talking about already had music to it. Why change that out for this weird licensed piece of music that
because it's about a king. Get it? He's the king of the ocean. Get it? Do you get it? He's the king of the ocean. Like, yeah, we got it. The score's great, but that brings up something I really wanted to talk about. I love the Wonder Woman theme song. You don't have to play it every single time she does anything. She goes to take a piss and it's like, you don't have to do it every time. Anytime she does, in the middle of a fight
play it over and over. They can play that music in the background for all 4 hours.
There's like a 5-second shot of her like doing something with the sword and you hear chanting from Themyscirians for 5 seconds. And then it goes back to the rest of the music. Like, you can just have her do something without. It's a great theme. I love it, but anytime she does, it got really annoying. Like by the end of it, and maybe this was the same in the theatrical cut, but I just noticed it more in this because it was 4 hours, so it was 4 hours of this happening, and I started to, like, especially by the end, the big final fight with Steppenwolf, I noticed a lot
Way
of
better
like
than the original.
way better. But I noticed a lot of like anytime Wonder Woman came on screen, even if it was for the shortest amount of time, they were playing that. They were interrupting whatever music was playing to play either the electric guitar or to play women chanting. And it's like you don't have to do it every single time. It just started bugging me.
They don't. They don't. But it is the best theme music in the DCEU.
Oh, it's a great theme.
Yeah.
But like, jeez. Speaking of that final fight,
but let's be honest, they've kind of done that with Wonder Woman in every film she's been in, including her own.
You're 100% correct. But at least with her own, it wasn't like interrupting other music. That was just music.
It would basically be like if every time Thor walked on screen, it played Immigrant Song. Yes,
exactly.
I don't think I would have complained about that either.
I would complain less about that. I love that song, but
it's the same thing. In Captain America, you don't. Every time Captain America comes on screen, you don't have to play the Avengers theme. Like that scene in Infinity War when they're on the subway and he opens it. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a great theme, but like I get it. That's a little nitpick of mine. But you brought up Steppenwolf, way cooler than the original.
Way cooler character. Way cooler.
I think that I liked that the metal was constantly moving on him. He was visually interesting because
his face looks better. Even though, as Marisha points out, he looks like Grumpy Cat.
He looks like the whole time I'm watching the movie. It was driving us like, what does he? Who does he look like? And finally,
but he has such kind eyes.
Finally, I realized it looks like Grumpy Cat.
The CGI for him in this version is way better than the theatrical, though. And the character himself, and the character himself is so much more developed and more depth to him. And there's again for our movie, we got more time to flesh out the character. It works really well.
Yeah, they definitely improved Steppenwolf in every way.
Every way.
Now
we have interrupted Marisha a ton of times in this. By the way, I just want to say I'm sorry, Marisha. I noticed that.
I don't remember. I was just I was continuing my assertion that he looks like Grumpy Cat. That's the last thing I remember.
There's a couple times I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. I just interrupted her.
It's hard when there are this many people going to not talk over people.
And we all actually care about this. So,
but they did a
more
great
than I
job.
do, probably. So that's okay.
They did a great job with Steppenwolf. I mean, you definitely he's your primary villain. They definitely amplified that. But do y'all feel like they really oversold Darkseid?
No. The best part of this by far is Darkseid. Adding Darkseid.
But really? Because
I think so.
Well, wait a minute. What do you mean by oversold? That they made such a big deal about we're going to include him?
Yeah.
Or
for him to just do nothing.
No, he's pretty much. We got more than I thought we were going to get.
Really?
Yeah, and where he fits into the story of this, and the scenes he does show up in, it enhances the story.
I think it was awesome.
Darkseid completely works for me in this.
Yeah, at the end when they're looking at each other through that portal, it was like, oh shit! Like
I get that,
so cool.
But to me, all that felt like, and I'm just going to be bluntly honest about this part is. I feel like a good 45 minutes to an hour of this movie is just him making a pitch to restore the Snyder Cut or restore the Snyderverse. It's him making a pitch to make the next movie and riling up that fan base again.
It's not going to happen though.
Using Darkseid being like, "Hey, you want to see Darkseid? You better put me back in charge."
Warner Brothers has though. Even before the release of this film, they've started to backtrack on their not connected stuff and saying they're going to sort of bring back the connected universe. Maybe Zack won't be involved.
But today
they want them to be.
There were some people from some Warner Brothers executives today that kind of shot that all to hell. And that's not to say that 6 months from now.
It's just another example of they don't know what the hell they want to do.
No, they don't. But 6 months from now, they could say, "Welcome back, Zack Snyder."
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem with this. All right, so we had a Ben Affleck Batman movie all ready to go. We decided to make the Robert Pattinson movie we're going to get, so that's obviously not going to be connected to this universe. Well, we've got a Flash movie coming, which is connected to this universe.
And
But
Ben
you're talking
Affleck's
about
in it.
using it. But you're talking about and Ben Affleck's in it along with Michael Keaton. Like they're sort of acting like that one can just reset the whole universe.
Yeah, but there's actually some news on that today where Keaton is kind of waffling.
I know.
And I know. They already had to recast the father for Flash.
Right. That's a scheduling conflict. Billy Crudup originally dropped out because of other reasons. Then he went back into negotiations and was going to do it. Now it's a scheduling conflict.
Right. But I mean, that movie's been a mess from the word go.
It really became a mess whenever Ezra Miller got caught on film hitting a fan.
And honestly, if Keaton leaves, I start to wonder what they'll actually do.
Oh, we have no idea what the movie's going to be.
A lot less of a crap.
But I'm just saying they have characters in films that work that are part of this connected universe that they want to keep making. But at the same time, they get all these other stories you want to tell. Like Joker doesn't fit in this universe, obviously. Mm-hmm. Suicide Squad 2, or The Suicide Squad, is supposedly supposed to fit into this universe.
Harley Quinn.
So they're starting to get a little bit of what's connected and what's not. It's
like actual DC Comics, so it's perfect.
Right? I don't know. But anyway, we're talking about Justice League. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now, as far as stuff that I love, like the stuff with the old gods and the Atlanteans and the Amazons, like that stuff, I want to see that movie. Frankly, I mean that stuff's awesome.
No kidding.
Yeah. 300.
That was right. That was one of my favorite additions to the movie at all. And like I said, I'm still sort of like I like the movie better.
There's more exposition.
I'm not a huge I'm not looking to I'm going to go back and rewatch it again immediately. It's better. But
I'll watch it again tomorrow.
I know, and that's the thing. Is I don't want to be too hard on it because it's just not my kind of movie overall. It's so long and I feel like.
But how many?
I feel like a lot of the dialogue is really subpar. The visually, it's incredible. Nobody's winning an award for any dialogue written in that movie.
Some of that dialogue is.
I feel like the entire epilogue, just please throw that epilogue away.
I'm not a fan of the epilogue either.
The dumbest line in the movie is Martian Manhunters.
Like he goes on, "Who are you?" La-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. And then he's leaving. He says, "By the way, some call me Martian Manhunter." It's like, that is the worst dialogue.
The epilogue is bad.
That is like Star Wars Episode 2 level, fireside chat level dialogue.
And some of it too, though, I want to go back and watch that scene again just so I can try to confirm. I think we may have had something shot with Ben Affleck having a conversation with Green Lantern, and we had to come back and shoot Harry Lennox as Martian Manhunter and sort of splice them together to make it fit. I think that kind of hurts. That might be one thing that kind of hurts that scene. The whole the nightmare future thing, and we all kind of knew they were sort of setting up an Injustice story with evil Superman.
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know why that movie's never getting made. We're not making his other Justice League films. We're never getting to this point in the story. But I don't. Other than the fact that I guess Zack just really loves that idea and really likes that scene, I don't know why it was included.
You nailed it right on the head because Zack loves it and he wants to do it.
Man, like I said when we started, he'll never again get a chance to show it.
Yeah.
So there it is.
We need to talk about the nightmare scenario because now I've always said something. I always say I don't like this Batman because he uses guns and shoots people. I've never been talking about the nightmare scenario. It's fine that in a thing called the Nightmare, he uses guns because the idea is it's gotten so bad that even Batman has to use guns. That's fine. That's cool. I think that's a really cool visual. I think that it looks super interesting. I love post-apocalyptic stuff. I like the team. You got Deathstroke and Flash and Amber Heard's
Meryl.
horrible face on there, and you had Batman. Like, it was amazing. I think that scene was cool. It was a little bit like
It's a little
Joker
over the
thing,
top.
kind of forced and over the top. But I did like the conversation. I don't like Jared Leto's portrayal, but I kind of liked the dialogue. If I imagine Mark Hamill saying it, I think it's pretty good.
I like the conversation's fine. It's probably, some of the better stuff in there dialogue wise, but
Right.
I
Leto's
really
delivery though.
Yes, it's terrible.
And that's horrible because anything outside of the DC universe, I'm a fan of Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a character that
he's a great actor, but whatever
but
he decided to do with this character just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's not a character that just anybody can get into.
No.
Yeah. Though in that scene, Ben Affleck's Ben Affleck's delivery in that scene, I think was pretty good. I think Ben Affleck's a great Batman. I think he has probably the best dialogue in the movie. Probably comes from Ben Affleck. I think this was actually in the theatrical cut when he's like, "I bought the bank." Like that's such a great line. I think that was actually in the theatrical cut though. But line, that scene with Joker, that was awesome. Like we were making jokes a couple weeks ago when the news came out that Batman was gonna drop the F-bomb. We were joking about like, "Oh, cool. That's so edgy," but this was actually pretty cool. Like, make no mistake, I will effing kill you. Like,
he's pissed.
I was really worried about like that it was just going to feel really forced, but they put it in there in a way that it feels like it's supposed to be there. Like it feels like a genuine reaction, and
like he's broken. He has gotten so bad that the man who like is supposed to be the ultimate no guns, no kill vigilante is like, I have an assault rifle in my hand and I'm going to effing kill you. I'm really interested in the Nightmare. I would love to go to an alternate universe where that movie gets made and see it. I think that would be great. It'd probably be the best Fallout movie we ever got. It'd be awesome.
There are I know you have HBO Max now. Look through the animated films. You'll find all kinds of versions of alternate realities with evil Superman.
Oh yeah, no. There's way too many, by the way. Way too many evil Superman alternate realities.
It's kind of scary though.
No, like, it's great. But like I get it. Like we got Injustice and then like okay, but then there's like all these other ones. Like, okay, I get it, man. I'd actually love to see a scenario where Batman is the evil one. Like Batman breaks and he goes crazy and he like turns the world into a police state that is like, I don't know, roamed by like robots that are all bad. Like I think that'd be awesome. And then Superman has to like be the good guy. I think that'd be cool.
I think that's a little more of a likely scenario if we're
exactly
talking
like Batman's the crazy one. Okay?
Yeah, he's always kind of on the edge of stepping over the edge.
Yeah, Superman's like the hopeful good one.
Right.
Speaking of, I really need to watch Theatrical Justice League again. Okay, I don't want to. I need to Google what was exactly replaced because
that's the thing is I had trouble really knowing what was different.
Yeah. Which is, I think, is a good thing.
That's the thing, though, right? David just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
You don't miss anything that was in the theatrical that's not in this one. You don't miss a bit of it.
Superman was much better for me in this movie, I think.
Oh, for sure.
First of all, take away the mustache. Everyone's talking about the mustaches. That scene's replaced entirely.
It's gone.
Just gone, which is good. I feel like they added some more scenes with them in the farm and stuff like that. Like I just
that scene is extended, and you get a lot more out of it.
And I think that was great.
The film's better for it.
It is better for it. I really like
the movie's better for all this different footage.
Well, there's a lot of things that they did.
Well, I say that, but yeah, some of it's like I already mentioned the Martian Manhunter scene. I don't like.
But they did a lot of interesting little things that just help understand what's happening. Like Saw somebody talking about the picture in the floating next to Superman when he's, in the pool and they're dropping the cube, the cube's falling and the photo falls into the liquid but when Flash is running, it's there to show you that time is moving backwards.
Correct.
Because previously it was kind of like
just
what's
there
actually
like a
going
stupid,
on. Like why is that?
And you
there?
actually get kind of right, and you actually get kind of pissed because you're like, really, they couldn't have saved the picture of his father. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was another device there to show the time kind of back up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's set up for the way the movie ends, by the way.
Right.
Which, by the way, is I think I've said it before. I'm sure I've said it before. That's my problem with every Flash story ever. And I think Batman even said the line. It's like, Barry,
he runs faster than you ever have before.
Have to run. And he actually says the line. It's like, you're going to have to run
he
faster.
Does.
That's like every other episode on the CW, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And then Barry's like, but I don't like Ezra Miller's portrayal, but I think some of the Flash's dialogue was pretty good. I think some of it. I laughed at a couple jokes, and at the end, him being like, "All right, Barry, you're gonna have to break the rule. You're gonna have to break it now." Like said by a different actor, I would have liked it. Which also, by the way, this reminds me, I wanted to say, this character, and I think Dad, you'll agree with me. He's literally just being Wally West. That's just Wally West.
Well, all of the live-action versions of Flash have become, over the years, an amalgamation of Barry and Wally. They've really blurred the line. I
agree, but like they really have.
But that's something that's been around in Hollywood for.
Wally West has always been the more funny, lighthearted version of the Flash, and like. Whenever I'm watching Ezra Miller, I'm like, why don't you just call him Wally? Because he's just being. But you are right. Like,
well, Barry wasn't a complete stick in the mud either.
No, I don't mean.
And the whole gimmick about that he's always late is a Barry Allen trope. Mm-hmm. He's the fastest man alive, and he's late for everything.
Yeah,
it's just hilarious.
I think that's great, but like just his I don't know. He just feels a lot more like Wally. It feels like I'm watching the Wally West from the Justice League animated series. Like, just call him Wally. But still, I thought some of the dialogue was pretty good. I thought he was kind of funny. I hate Ezra Miller's voice, though. He's so whiny. Yeah. It's like, I got my weight knocked out. I just need a couple seconds.
Yeah, I know.
That really takes me out of the movie. That and the Wonder Woman theme took me out of the movie a lot.
I see the Wonder Woman thing doesn't bother me a bit.
You know what bothered me about Wonder Woman was that scene. I like the fast and then the slow and I did not like how that was shot. I did not like it. I really enjoy Wonder Woman.
her opening scene
in the bank.
I think that's a note I have.
The speed changes are kind of weird, and the fast moving blocking bullets with the gauntlets is kind of weird looking.
That whole scene to me is like, like it's different than the first version of that scene. They could have left that scene alone, and I probably would have been okay with it. That's
and there's the moment with the little girl in the room, and I know the thing is I understand the sentiment, and I think what they're going for is great. But the whole can I be like you when I grow up? And it's like I saw somebody's already memed it, and it's like, no, I'm a god.
Right, exactly.
Or like the little girl's gonna like grow up one day, and she's gonna be like, I can block this bullet with my.
You know what though? And somebody pointed. I don't remember which podcast it was that pointed this out, and it made me feel a little different. It was when it first happened. I was like, no, you can't be a god, but. The little girl lives in the DC universe, and lots of people become powerful beings in that world. So sure, you can. That made me feel a little bit better about it. That it's this fantasy universe, so whatever. But when she first said it, I was like, no.
Yeah, I think it's metaphorically speaking.
I mean, what they're going for is great.
You can do anything.
It's
right. Yeah. What they're going for is absolutely well intentioned.
Rah girl power. We got it.
Speaking of introductions, Flash
and not forced Marvel girl power either, by the way.
No, that scene in Endgame is
Awful.
It's just bad.
Cringeworthy.
So like, here's the thing. I had daughters sitting in the theater with me, and so generally I'm all about, like, impressive women doing cool things. All right, let's do this.
It was
thing.
too forced.
And it was like,
It was too forced. The Mandalorian did it better. The
Absolutely.
Mandalorian did that scene right in the last episode of that show, season 2.
Because it wasn't like, oh, we're going to pull out every single female character and give them a cool 3 seconds.
Cool 3 seconds. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, no.
And then it's worse. It's worse for the fact, I saw a meme of the day said Black Widow threw herself off a cliff to keep from being involved in that. But it's worse for the fact that it's thrown into the middle of a fantastic scene.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
We're on the wrong movie again, though.
Yeah, we are, and that happens.
I did that.
Speaking of intro scenes, I think The Flash had a much better intro scene than he did in the theatrical version.
Oh yeah, all the Flash stuff that was added is ass to the character. I enjoyed all of that. Cyborg is so. I mean, there's almost an entire solo Cyborg movie in this film.
This movie's really about Cyborg.
It is.
It is.
Awesome.
And actually, you could make it's just kind of like Robbie's thing of wanting to have a debate on who the first 3 phases of the MCU, whose story is it really? You could kind of have that argument about this movie because in a lot of ways this is Batman's movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you could make an argument for Cyborg.
Yeah,
absolutely.
A lot of focus on
But that's the thing. That's why we were just saying, I think we all agree we would have liked a solo Flash film and a solo Cyborg film and the solo Aquaman film before we got this one. We do have the solo Aquaman film now, which I also really enjoy.
But the continuity,
I'm going to be honest about the Cyborg character in this is much improved, but I don't know if I care about that character.
I don't give a crap. Yeah, so you just said we all would have liked it. We would have liked a Cyborg.
And maybe
wait a minute. Wait.
If we had that movie, I'd have liked it.
Correct.
But at this point, I really don't care about that character.
A Cyborg movie.
I know that.
I didn't
mean
this movie.
No, I did not mean that we were all chomping at the bit to see a solo Cyborg movie. But all of the background and development we got for Cyborg in this film, if it had been in a solo movie first, and then we would have gotten this one without having all that to weigh this down, and it wouldn't have been a 4-hour film, that's the way they should have gone about doing it. Because even if Zack had been able to finish this film originally, a lot of that would have got cut. I can see a 2.5-hour version of this movie in film, in theaters. But, because, I mean, the version we got in theaters was like an hour and 50-something minutes, right? Didn't even run a full 2 hours.
Right.
They could have given us another 45 minutes of footage and still been fine.
You can throw the epilogue away and get it down to 3.5 real fast.
That's true, too.
And you could speed up all the slow motion and speed it up another 10 minutes.
You can't show Flash without slow-mo.
Okay, but it wasn't just Flash. It was Flash, and it was Wonder Woman, and it was Batman.
Somebody did the math on it. 10% of the movie is in slow motion.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you're working...
Hey, but I mean,
that's 24 minutes worth of slow motion footage.
That's insane. But... you created all these awesome visuals. Show them off.
Absolutely.
This was a free pass. This was a hall pass movie. This was like his chance to just throw whatever the hell he wanted on screen.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him at all for a minute of it.
No.
Yeah, my first note I wrote was, if you can do it, then why not? Yeah. So, like,
I do have one more.
Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I do have one more point.
Okay.
About things maybe we didn't like as much. I am a fan of and a supporter of the anti-life equation being part of this film. But from a plot standpoint, how the hell did Darkseid not know that he had left the anti-life equation on Earth? How did they not know that this was the planet? They didn't know this was the planet that revolted. Like, I was unclear on that. Was it just Steppenwolf that was unclear on it? Or did Darkseid not know either?
It seemed to me like nobody knew, which is
makes no sense to me whatsoever. That's the last thing I'm going to say about negatives on it. So there are still some little plot points. The film's not perfect. It's way better than the theatrical version.
Yeah.
There are other films that I like a lot that I had about the same number of issues with.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I feel
most
like
movies.
Yeah. I think the anti-life equation was just another one of those things. It's like it has nothing to do with this story. Like, if you were going to make another half a dozen movies, then sure, bring it out and like just drop it.
It's set up.
But it's set up for nothing. It's set up for nothing that comes after.
Yeah,
huh?
That's him being like, see what could have been? It's too bad.
Right.
I'll just be sitting over here in case you want to give me a call.
Yeah, I still think a lot of that is in there to do exactly what it's done. It was to really rile the fan base up.
Yeah. And I don't know.
I mean, he had I really do feel like I think the anti-life equation and Darkseid both would have been included in a theatrical version he'd have got to finish. So he's going to include it. And because you got to keep in mind, when he's first making the movie, he plans on making 3 or 4 more Justice League movies. Right. So he's got to set it up. And it also serves as further another plot device to propel Steppenwolf forward. That now he's got something because he wants to go home so bad. He wants to get back in Darkseid's good graces. Now he's got something else to be able to do that with. And when he talks to Darkseid that he's found the equation in his own Earth, Darkseid basically tells him, conquer this planet. I will come there, and basically tell him he's going to forgive him. All will be forgiven. You're back in my good graces if we can pull this off. So that's just one more level to help Steppenwolf's character as well. But plot-wise, it's got a hole in it.
Yeah.
So there's one more fairly big thing that we haven't touched on yet, and I wanted to bring up. What do you guys think about Lex Luthor in this movie?
That scene, a version of that scene is in the theatrical cut too. Either scene works about the same for me. I'm not.
Yeah, it's kind of the same. So I think it's pretty clear. Like if we would have gotten that Batman movie, it would have been Batman and Deathstroke.
Well, yeah.
Which I think would have been.
when they announced Joe Manganiello's casting originally, it was announced for the Ben Affleck Batman film. Nobody knew he was going to be in Justice League. That was a surprise at the end.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently, he actually did a lot of work on that, getting a fight, creating a fighting style and all this background work on the character.
Yeah.
He would have been great. He would have been.
Oh, absolutely. He'd have been a fantastic Deathstroke.
Yeah.
It's a what if, man.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'd rather get this Rob Pattinson Batman movie than the Ben Affleck one. Just because,
Maybe.
I mean, at least so far, at least from what I've seen, just because, like I said, I just don't like this interpretation of the Batman character. I mean, I'm sure it would have been a great movie just like this one. It would have been great. It would have been a very cool looking movie, I'm sure. But I still would have had problems with it. So I am excited to get like just a solo Batman movie and see what they do. Please don't kill people.
I will say this as someone who mocked the casting of Ben Affleck mercilessly in the beginning. He has ended up being a damn good Batman.
Yeah.
He was an excellent Batman.
He's great.
This is not Geely Ben Affleck, and he hasn't been for a long time. This man is a good actor.
No, he really is.
He's a very good actor.
I just had a lot of trouble seeing him as Batman, but like he really pulls it off.
I mean, the thing is, whenever they first announced that was like a running joke on sitcoms
Hey,
year.
I used to throw a fit about every casting move Marvel made.
Look, I will never forget.
At some point, I just finally went, you know what?
Marvel's way better at casting than DC is.
Oh, they are.
But DC got it right with Affleck. And like Andrew's talking about, I will never forget waking up at 5:30 in the morning one morning and finding a text that had been sent at 3 a.m. one word from Andrew Gore. Batfleck! I'm like, what the hell? And I swear, he ragged on that for a week.
I did.
It was. I'm like, dude, it's gonna be okay. Just give him a chance. Wait a minute. He can be like a Dark Knight Batman, which is what they kind of went for.
It was.
Yeah,
and of course we had.
He ragged me about that for a week.
I was still having, nightmares about the last time he played a superhero.
Don't, because I don't know if people can see, but let's not remind me about the catastrophe that is the live action Daredevil movie. That is my favorite all-time comic book character. But anyway, but he wasn't really necessarily the whole problem with that movie either.
No,
the Colin Farrell Bullseye was the fucking problem with that movie. Jesus Christ,
Bullseye.
Wow.
I don't know. We did eventually get a very good live action Daredevil though.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else in this that y'all wanted to touch on before we wrap up? I mean, obviously we could sit here and break it down and talk about it for hours, but
Something that I thought was just really funny. Like I laughed out loud when I saw this, and maybe I'm just a jackass for doing this, but I laughed when I read at the very beginning, to preserve the integrity of Zack Snyder's vision, this film is presented
yeah,
in
why is it a 4.3?
To preserve the integrity of Zack Snyder's vision. Didn't you read?
I did, but
I'm
like you, that blew my mind. How in the hell can one of the most celebrated visual directors ever want his stinking movie in a 4:3 format?
no, that was a bizarre decision.
Well, I mean, it didn't. I mean, whatever. You can still watch the movie either way. You look at this, not that, so it's okay. But yeah, that was weird. I agree with Dave.
The phrasing was so funny to me. Like, okay.
So, what do y'all think about the black and white cut that's coming out?
Huh?
They've got one. It's Zack Snyder's Justice League. Justice
Black
is great.
Yep.
Justice is gray. Very clever. I mean,
We're just milking it for all it's worth at this point.
It just feels to me like Warner Brothers just milking the hell out of it, knowing that they're kicking Snyder and that whole side of it to the curb.
I would love to see the numbers on how many people resubscribe to HBO just for this.
Hey, it was a great time for us to do it because I can watch it. I can watch Justice League and I can watch Godzilla and King Kong Throwdown next week.
Yep.
And then we can cancel it.
Yeah. What were you about to say, Marisha? Oh.
I don't remember. It wasn't important.
But I said in a text, I was like, time to re-download my HBO app since the first time since Game of Thrones ended.
Oh yeah, I remember. So was the viewing on this actually better than Wonder Woman 84? I saw that it wasn't. Is that inaccurate?
I thought
they released numbers.
It's got to be.
Here's the thing about streaming services. They don't actually ever have to release any accurate numbers.
No,
That's
the numbers I saw was that it I don't know how you want to put it because it's on a streaming service you pay a subscription fee for, but like if you projected the box office for this one, it blew Wonder Woman 84 out of the water.
Yeah.
Just for the views on it, if that many people had gone to the theater and seen it, but you can't really judge that because more people are going to be more inclined to watch a film at home than some people are anyway in the theater anyhow. So you can't really judge that. Everybody that watched it on HBO Max wouldn't have went to the theater, but it's. Right. But to answer Marisha's question directly, it did get more views than Wonder Woman did.
So I didn't have to handle this part of it because thankfully I have a dad who just sent me his login information without even having to ask for it. Did you have to? Did you have to pay an extra fee on top of the subscription to watch this?
No.
Did you have to do that with Wonder Woman?
No.
No. So this is all. So next week when Godzilla King Kong comes out, is it just out?
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah, there's no extra fees on.
Don't cancel yet
on HBO
because you're paying $17 a month.
It's one of the most expensive streaming platforms out there.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know because I'm spoiled, so I didn't have to worry about it. So.
Because you're young. Still
We
get
talked
to watch
about. We
other
just had a
people's TV.
conversation about how you don't pay for your own light bulbs.
Okay, that's like I pay for like my own phone and stuff. I'm sorry I don't pay for my own light bulbs. Like, it's never come up. There's always light bulbs in the house. I can just grab one out the cabinet.
There's always food in the refrigerator.
Yeah, never bought my own milk either. Like, there's always milk in the fridge, man.
That's handy.
And that's just
Your mom's clearly more on the ball than my children's mother.
There's always money in the banana stand.
There's always money in the bananas.
No, there's $150,000 in cash in the balls of the bananas. Oh man, when he said that, I was just like, it just hurt my feelings when he burned
It's
that
funny
banana.
because the whole time that he's saying that, I'm like, oh, he means there's literally money.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I knew. So when they start burning it down, I'm like, oh no. Oh no, like I already knew. That's Arrested Development is about as far away from Justice League as you can get. So
Except that Michael Cera would have made just as good of a Lex Luthor.
Oh, here we go.
That is true.
This from the man who wanted Michael Cera to be Batman. Actually,
Yeah,
y'all
and-
listen to
what if-
anything
You weren't
Andrew
here
says.
the other day, but Michael Cera should play the Thing.
yeah. What if Deathstroke took off his helmet and it's Michael Cera? You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And then Andy Samberg shows up as like, I don't know, Joker. It's like, you have no idea who these people are. You can't tell the difference. They're all the same.
That would be a bizarre decision for the Joker.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one that's bizarre. Out of the conversation.
I'm sorry. I mean, Andy Samberg.
Not Michael Cera playing every superhero ever. That's not weird at all. But Andy Samberg playing a villain, that's a step too far.
But there's a thing about like Michael Cera and Andy Samberg. They only play one character
That's what I'm saying.
themselves.
Michael Cera and Andy Samberg.
Right.
Yeah, and Jesse Eisenberg only plays Mark
Pretty
Zuckerberg.
much.
Yeah.
All right.
He's
Well,
great as Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
He is.
all right. So, any last thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League?
I don't like the Snyderverse. And I just have to accept that. I had to accept that going into this and put that aside to watch this movie. And when I did that, I found myself really enjoying it and actually wanting to watch it, which I did not think I wanted to do. I went into this thinking it was a chore. And as soon as like that Themyscira battle started, I was like, wait, they're doing something here. This is like something. Whoa, this is cool. And then especially like by the end, like I was like into it. Like I enjoyed watching the movie. And I am happy that this exists. I'm happy that Zack Snyder got to make this. It is a thing. I appreciate art, and I do think that Zack Snyder is a very good visual filmmaker, and I think that he has a clear vision on what he wanted to do, and this is tonally consistent throughout. It is actually entertaining. It looks great. Everything that could be improved upon from the theatrical version, I think, was improved upon here.
Yep.
And it really is like an epic. If it's an epic that's like, it's not like Lord of the Rings level epic 4-hour long movie, but you make anything 4 hours and it's probably gonna have some pretty epic stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that this exists. I don't think I'll ever watch it again, but I will have some fond memories of it. I can walk away with some funny lines from some good lines from Batman, some cool looking stuff. Darkseid. We got to see Darkseid in a movie. If anything, we have seen Darkseid in a movie. And that moment when they're looking at each other through the portal, that felt like, oh, this is Justice League. This is what it's all about right here.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Superman was great. This hurts. This is like everything. This goes against everything I've ever said about Zack Snyder, but this makes me want to see more of what Zack Snyder had planned. Which, as Andrew said before, that was kind of Zack Snyder's plan the whole time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm okay that if we don't get anything more out of Zack Snyder, I'm okay with this existing, but I think it would have been cool to see. I would have loved to seen Henry Cavill's Superman fighting Darkseid. that would have been incredible.
Yep.
Yep.
Daniel, last thoughts?
I am unabashedly, is that the word?
Yeah.
At 100% totally in love with this movie. I told y'all Friday when it came out, I already know I like this movie way more than I should. But you already know I like what I like. I don't care if people agree with what I like or not. It is, you miss nothing that was lost from the Whedon cut in this film. The scene with Wonder Woman and Batman in the garage when they're alone and Batman's changing out of his suit, you don't miss that scene at all. The joke with Aquaman sitting on Wonder Woman's lasso, in and of itself, it's a funny moment in the film. It didn't fit the tone of the film to begin with. You don't miss it now that it's gone. What was added to it, you actually get more of. There's a moment that's not in the Whedon cut that's in this one with Aquaman, where he talks about we're asking a kid who just lost both of his parents recently to go save the world. And like you sort of like that adds some depth to Aquaman that he does actually. There's way less surfer dude to Aquaman.
Yeah.
And that's better. You get the stuff you get with Cyborg adds to the film. The stuff you get with Flash adds to the film. It's a better movie. And I am blown away that Warner Brothers had all this footage and gave us what they gave us. They couldn't have given us this, but they could have given us something a whole lot closer. Would have been a way better movie. I am, y'all all know me. Anybody who's really ever listened to this show that I've been able to be on it knows I am a fan of Zack Snyder. You can call me biased if you want to.
You're biased.
we all I think agree that this is a better film than the theatrical version, right?
Absolutely.
I totally love this movie, and unlike David, I will watch it again. I'll probably watch it this weekend again. So,
and I said I probably wouldn't, and I lied because I'm a sucker for a black and white cut. So when that comes out, I'm going to watch it. I don't think you can do that with every movie. I'm kind of mostly curious to see if they pull it off. The last movie that really did that well was Fury Road. Has an incredible black and white cut. But
the nightmare sequence is going to be dope in black and white.
Yeah. But it is. It's a better movie. It's despite the fact that it's incredibly long, is more enjoyable despite still having some flaws. And some of that is because I feel like he had the footage and he wanted to show it off.
When they gave us more exposition, they gave us a better idea. Now, granted, it was an hour and a half into the movie before they finally gave you the first clue what was going on. But they did finally give you background and explanation and a little more if it's not your thing, which is really, I have never been super into DC movies, so I'm just what's going on. But then they finally explained, which they didn't do a very good job of in the original cut.
Yeah.
So they did a lot
in the
better
original cut.
The exposition. What's that?
There are things. No, I'm not giving you a hard time at all. I'll interrupt you because I was just going to piggyback off what you just said.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done.
There are the scenes in the theatrical cut where Steppenwolf just goes and finds the Atlantean cube. You never knew how he knew that was there. We get to see how he knew that was there. Right. Why the hell did Aquaman just show up out of nowhere? Well, now we know because he was warned, by someone that we've already established that he knows and has a relationship with, warned him. They're looking for the cube and this is where it is and he's going to help go defend it. And he did. That's all explained better. It also, though, in the theatrical cut, the first scene in the movie is Batman using a common criminal to try to catch a parademon, right? And that supposedly is how Batman knew something was going down. You don't need that. No, Lex Luthor warned us at the end of Dawn of Justice something's going down, and Batman really just wants to bring these people together to try to make up for what he did to Clark. So all that's fine. That's enough reason. We didn't need that film, that scene they gave us in the theatrical cut. It really, after seeing this, you really feel like the Whedon cut, theatrical cut, I keep going back and forth calling one, I don't know what to call it anymore. Just was like dumbed down. And we didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't appreciate that. Don't dumb down a movie for me.
Right.
And this works so much better.
Yeah.
Did you have any other final thoughts?
No, that was pretty much my thought. Was it as someone who's not particularly, it's like Marvel. I can give you all the backgrounds on all the Marvel things, but going into this one, having only seen all the previous movies once, this one made a lot more sense. And so I appreciated that as a casual fan. I appreciated background information. If, for somebody who hasn't read all the comics and doesn't know everything. So that was my takeaway from it.
All right. Well, I mean, just kind of, I've already kind of said my final thoughts, but it's definitely a much better movie than it was previously. It's a shame that they are just kind of throwing this all away now. And I do think I would have liked to have seen where Zack Snyder went with it. I haven't been a huge fan of everything that's happened, but I'm really, the more that goes on over at DC, the more I'm wondering how much studio interference is affecting a lot of what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mess, man.
And it's still a mess because
And
now
both
they
movies
seem
and
to be,
comics.
it bothers me that they're distancing themselves from Affleck as Batman and from Cavill as Superman. And they seem ready to just throw all of this away and start over. And I don't know.
Not fully. No, you got to keep the Wonder Woman and the Aquaman and maybe the Flash.
And the thing is, in fairness, like, I love Jason Momoa as Aquaman, but when they cast him, I was like, that's a really odd decision for Jason Momoa to play Aquaman. But it's a totally different Aquaman, but I love it. And Gal Gadot is a fantastic Wonder Woman.
Fantastic.
Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Why were there so many shots of like 10 seconds long of just staring at Gal Gadot's face, like her looking concerned? Did y'all notice that? I noticed that. Like, it's just
maybe she was just concerned.
I didn't even actually notice.
I didn't notice that either.
She was very concerned very often. I made a note.
All right. Well, I guess let's wrap up for the night. Marisha, where can people find you till next time?
You can find me on, where can you find me? I have a website, princessandpadawans.com. And you can also find me on Instagram at princesses_and_padawans. I'm mostly on Twitter these days, occasionally whenever my mental state can handle all the drama, and P Padawans.
All right, David.
I am David_JG Peoples on Twitter.
And Daniel.
I am Dan C. Peeps on Twitter.
All right. And you can find me running the Twitter account for the show at sci_fictionary. You can drop us a line at thesciencefictionary@gmail.com. And Marisha's typing. That threw me off.
Sorry.
You can find us, as well as the rest of the Red 5 podcast family, at Red 5 Network on Twitter and at red5network.com. And until next time, don't hire Joss Whedon to make your Zack Snyder movie.